Hi, everyone. Excuse me. Hi, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for being here. The session today is on introducing the scholarly skills community. My name is Dr. Julie Ebner, and I'm the Director of Library Services.
Hi, everybody. I'm Hideki Nakazono. I'm the Director of the Writing Center.
We're so glad that you could join us today to learn more about this exciting new resource provided through the library and the Writing Center. I would ask if you are not muted to go ahead and mute yourself. If you want to ask a question later, you can certainly unmute at that time. But as we get more and more participants in, I just want to make sure that we don't have a lot of background noise and that sort of a thing. And I also want to let you know that we are recording this session, and it'll be available to students and faculty in the future. And likely, if you have your camera on, know that your camera is also being recording as a part of recording the meeting. You certainly do not have to have your camera on. So if that makes you uncomfortable with your camera being recorded, please stop sharing your video. and that's totally fine for you to do that. Okay, I'm also another kind of housekeeping thing before we get into the content. I'm putting in the chat section a link. This is, don't click on it yet, but this is a survey we're going to ask you to do after the session is over. I like to put it up at the beginning, and I'll also put it up again at the end, but I like to do it at the beginning in case you have to leave early. I don't want you to miss getting access to that survey. So just before you leave the meeting, if you could click on that and then leave the meeting and then do our survey after the fact, it just helps us to know how we're doing with our virtual events, and gives us ideas for new things to talk about in virtual events. So I appreciate that. Okay, the scholarly skills community. So this is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about what is the scholarly skills community, a little bit of background about this project and how it came to be. The bulk of this is going to be a tour of the scholarly skills community. I'm going to take you into Blackboard. We're going to look at it together. I'm going to give you some, we're going to just give you some thoughts on some of the modules that are in there, and just give you a lay of the land of it. So a little bit of an orientation. We're going to talk about integration into courses. And if you are a student, we'll talk about how some of the scholarly skills community modules might be integrated into your courses. And if you're a faculty member, we'll give you more information about how you can integrate the modules into your courses for your students to complete. And then, of course, we'll have time for any questions that you might have. Ooh, too many. Okay, so what is the scholarly skills community? So this is, quote, a community within Blackboard. And basically the way that that differs from a course within Blackboard is that you don't have to enroll in it. You're automatically enrolled into it. It's nothing for a grade or anything like that. It's It's something that you always have access to while you're at the University of St. Augustine. You can come back, reference it again and again. So it's something that's always available to you, and that you can be an active participant in, unlike a course which might last for just a term. As I mentioned, it is created and managed by the University Library and Writing Center. We partnered up to do this. Our goal here is to help provide information and training at the time of need, so asynchronously. And so what we mean by that is that it's always there, right? If you're studying at 3 a.m., if you're working on a project at 3 a.m., and all of the library and writing center employees are asleep, you can still get good information that you need that can help you with what you're doing. Once you reach the point of need, basically just means that you realize you need help, and you need to seek it out right then, right? So this is available to you regardless of the time or the day or anything like that. The Scholarly Skills community is made up of 21 modules divided into 6 topic areas. When we go in to do the tour, we'll learn more about that. Another feature of the Scholarly Skills community is that we offer micro-credentials. Basically what we mean by that is a certificate of completion. Every module has content, information, the things that you can learn in that module. And then at the end of each of the modules, we have an assessment. And there's certain requirements on the assessment depending on what the module is. Most often it's a quiz to test your knowledge and what you learned from that module. But if you once you qualify for a certificate, or once you, on the assessment, depending on the score you get on the quiz or meet the requirements to earn that certificate, you have a certificate basically that you can have saying that you have the knowledge and skills that were taught in that module. So this is where integration into courses comes into play. You might have, starting in the fall term, not this term, but starting in the fall term, if you're a student, you might have an instructor in a particular class that asks the students in the class to submit their certificate of completion for a specific module that is essential for that particular course. So the idea with the partnerships with courses is that it would be, this would be work that you would do supplementary to the course, but that would be pretty integral to your success in that course. And I'll give you some examples once we get into the tour of the Scholarly Skills community. So I mentioned 6 topic areas, and the 6 topic areas in the Scholarly Skills community are getting started, advanced searching, evaluating resources, formatting and referencing, scholarly writing, and scholarly communication. So these are the 6 main topic areas, and each topic area has between 2 and 6 modules in it that fit into that topic area. A little bit of background. This is something that our Writing Center and library teams have been working on for quite some time, since about November 2020. It came about, we saw a need for it and we started working on it, and we've spent a lot of time, a lot of months working on this. We developed the modules, so we decided what modules to include, what topics that we needed to include as modules based on a couple of things. The first was, as Writing Center staff, as library staff, the things that we knew we get a lot of questions about from students. For example, you will see when we get into the tour that there's a section on APA formatting. There's also a section on AMA formatting. And those were kind of no-brainers, right? We knew that students often reached out to the Writing Center and to the library on those topics, and so that was something that was needed. But we also, the library team, we noticed that we would get a lot of questions, for example, from students about qualitative and quantitative research and what's the difference? How do I find qualitative? How do I find quantitative? I have an assignment, saying I have to find 5 quantitative articles. How do I tell if it's quantitative? So that was kind of our initial thing. We kind of made a list based on what we knew we got a lot of questions on. And the next step after that is we went to faculty members and we introduced this idea to them, and got a lot of enthusiasm from faculty members on it. And at the same time, we asked them, you know, we kind of said, these are the topics we're thinking of. What do we need to add? And they gave us quite a few ideas of things that they noticed students have a lot of questions about, or things that they themselves had questions about. And so we added to the list based on that. And then the library staff and the Writing Center staff worked with an instructional designer, Joel, here at the university, and we built out the modules. And our goal was really to have a lot of variety in the modules and have them be engaging. So, you know, depending on the topic, that's easier to do for certain topics over others maybe, but we tried to have a lot of variety in how we presented the information in the modules, and in ways that would be engaging, and that wouldn't just, each one is, you know, a block of text, or each one is a video or something like that. So that was one of our goals as well as we were building it. And then after that, we faculty members have had access to this community for about a month now. We launched it to them first as a preliminary launch, and got an opportunity for them to give us feedback before we launched to students last week. So now all students and faculty members have access to this, and it's been a long time coming, a lot of months of work involved, and we're excited to be sharing it with you and for you to have access to it. It's been kind of funny because leading up to when we were going to launch to students, we would get questions from students, not about this, but about different things. And we would kind of think, oh, I wish they had access to the scholarly skills community already, because we have a great module on that topic. And now we don't have to say that anymore. I mean, you know, we will still definitely meet one-on-one with students, but it's nice to be able to have a resource we can point students to now, for them to be able to get additional information or follow up after the fact. So we're excited about that. Okay, so now we're going to do a tour of the scholarly skills community. Let me pull up my, here we go. So you should now be seeing Blackboard. Of course, my Blackboard looks a little bit different than yours, but the main thing that I wanted to show you here is how to get to it. So once you're in Blackboard under My Institution, you're going to see a My Organization section, and the Scholarly Skills community will be listed there. So I'm going to go into it, and I'm actually going to do just a little bit of a change here. I'm going to enter a student preview mode. That way you will see on my screen exactly what you would see on your screen. Obviously, when I'm logged in, there's a little bit, it's more of a faculty member sort of a view. But in this student preview mode, it'll be exactly how you will see it when you're in the community. Okay, so the main screen, when you first get in here, you'll see we've got our nice banner logo here. There's information here about, in general, what is the Scholarly Skills community, how to use the Scholarly Skills community. And I think it's worth talking about each of these bullet points. You know, each of these modules is asynchronous, which again just means that you don't have to be on at any certain time or day, right? It's kind of at your own pace, on your own schedule. There's not like a scheduled day and time that you need to be doing something. Although some of the modules may have synchronous components. Currently, there's just one module that has, as part of, if you want a certificate in that for that module, you do have to attend a live workshop as one of those requirements. So that's currently the only synchronous component right now. You can browse and complete modules in any order at your own pace. So there's no, I mean, they are in an order, right? And we tried to kind of do the topics kind of in a progression that made sense. But the idea is that you would come and check in here when you realize you need information, and you can, you know, exploring it ahead of time, getting an idea of what modules are in here. And then maybe you are working on an assignment where, to use the qualitative and quantitative again, maybe you're working on an assignment where you need to find quantitative articles. Then you can say, oh wait, I remember the Scholarly Skills community has a module about that. Let me go in and look at it. So that's kind of what we're envisioning here, is that you come in here and use it when you need to use it. And you might not ever need all of the modules, and that's fine. And that's the next bullet point. Complete the modules you need or want to complete. There's no requirement to go through all the modules or to go through them in any particular order. Come back again and again as you recognize the need or desire to complete more modules or to review modules you've already completed. Each module, as I mentioned, has assessment requirements, and once you meet those requirements, you are awarded a certificate of completion for that module. The certificates, as you complete modules, you'll find the certificates here in the My Certificates section. This works similar to like the My Grade section of your courses. There's nothing here now, right? But as it would be, if you select the graded, each of the modules you've completed, it would be here, and you could download and re-download your certificate. From that, this is where your certificate would be stored. My certificates. You may be required, as I mentioned, to complete certain modules as a part of course or advisor requirements, and then you would submit your certificate of completion that you receive from us to affirm your completion. Now, if it's a module that you're not required to complete for a course, if you don't care if you have a certificate of completion, you don't have to do the assessment. You don't have to get a certificate of completion. You can just look at the information that you need and take it away and do what you need to do with it. But we did want to provide an option to get a certificate of completion because of the integration. You will need them for some courses to be able to show that you completed that module. Each module is open to students or faculty members to complete. We are going to be adding new modules periodically as the need arises, so it doesn't hurt to keep checking back. And our existing modules will be updated as needed if information changes or something needs to be updated in there. So that's the basics of the community. I mentioned the topic areas. And I'd like to go through each topic area and just introduce you to the modules in there. We're not going to do a deep dive really into the modules today. There's one that's got a few really kind of cool components to it that I want to take you into once we get to it. But in general, I just want to kind of give you an idea of what's in here. And of course, you can explore it on your own as well. So the Getting Started section, as the name implies, it's kind of some of the more basic things that you need to do when you're getting started with specifically searching for information or some sort of research-based project. So in here we have a module on developing a research topic, identifying keywords and basic searching, and databases and finding full text. Advanced searching, as you can imagine, has a little bit more advanced sorts of searching information, advanced research techniques, controlled vocabulary, and MESH, which is medical subject headings, specifically in PubMed, but other health sciences databases as well. This is the one I was talking about, the finding and identifying quantitative and qualitative research studies. So this has information about that. Cognitive bias in the literature search, intersectional search strategies for evidence-based practice, systematically searching for scoping reviews. This is one that we developed. The scoping reviews one is one that we developed as we were having more and more OTD students reaching out to us saying, I'm doing a scoping review for my final project, and can you help me? So we had those students specifically in mind as we were developing this module, but it's general enough to apply to anybody who's wanting to do a scoping review or something like it, or wanting to put together a very systematic, reproducible search. Evaluating resources, types of resources, hierarchy of evidence, critical appraisal tools, and systemic bias in internet search engines and scholarly databases. And this is what I want to take you into for just a minute. Because the author of this one, librarian Matthew Chase, put some kind of cool stuff in here. And I just wanted to show this as an example of some of the variety and engaging techniques that we tried to use in here. So it starts out with a little video. Every module, by the way, has an introduction. It has learning objectives stated right at the top here. And then, he put together this interactive book, kind of in the style of of Dungeons and Dragons, which is kind of fun. And so you see, you click on it and you can go to the different pages and it's got information there. And this is also set up as, quote, an interactive book, but it's a little bit different because it's more like you click and you can learn different things by clicking on different parts of this kind of haunted castle sort of a room. And this, again, using that same sort of a interactive book technology, but applying it in another completely different way as kind of trading cards, where you can, you know, click on it and read what's on each card and go from there. So some neat kind of ways to engage you into the material here. I'm going to turn it over to Hideki to talk about formatting and referencing and scholarly writing sections.
Thanks, Julie. Well, so just as indicated, the main sections we have in that section are just going to be APA and AMA, the two style guides that we use predominantly throughout the university. And, you know, these are essentially introductions into these areas. You know, everyone familiar with style guides knows that there's a lot of information in both of those categories. So we introduce predominantly in these modules the main elements. So paper formatting, citation, referencing, things of that sort, so that a person who completes one of these modules should feel comfortable preparing an APA or AMA style paper that they can then turn around and submit in their classrooms. So an introduction there, and then, you know, I believe there are introductions to other indications of other resources that you can use within the Writing Center and throughout the university as you move through your classes. The scholarly writing modules were more based on elements of writing that aren't specific to APA or AMA. So just an introduction to the types of things that will be beneficial for people as they write. So things like organization, transitions, what makes a good introduction, different parts of different types of essays and things of that sort. We have a whole section on plagiarism there, because plagiarism can be a nuanced topic, and it goes beyond just the idea of unethical practices, right? Like I think people are familiar with the idea of plagiarism insofar as cheating is concerned, but at the graduate level, we deal with this emphasis on synthesis and paraphrasing and how plagiarism sometimes gets tied in with that. And so this goes into a lot of detail about that element. And then we also have a section down there for capstones and dissertations that will include various material from the different doctoral level capstones and dissertations. So people will be able to revisit those anytime they have the need as they are approaching those projects. Because a lot of times when you have a project like that, you know these things are coming, and sometimes it would be helpful to know about certain elements of those. We also have materials that are being provided by the university's programs to some extent. So different programs will share with us materials, and so we are sort of just housing those in that capstones and dissertations section. Now, the information that we have in those, keep in mind, do come from, again, a general sense, just in terms of the scholarly writing module. So it is always going to be important that you prioritize your programs and the chairs that you're working with, your committee members. Their instruction will always take priority, but this does provide a good base of information for you as you move into those projects.
Great, thank you. And then the last topic area is scholarly communications. And this has more to do with, okay, you know, you've done your searching the literature, you've got something written up, right, that's formatted and referenced correctly and all of that. And so scholarly communications is more about disseminating your work, whether that's, you know, writing a scholarly article or those sorts of things, publishing a dissertation, those sorts of things. So the current two modules that we have in here are open access and copyright and Creative Commons, and we are planning to grow this section more as well, to include other topics as well. Okay, so those are the topic areas. A couple of other things on the navigation pane on the side here that I want to point out. There's a link here that will take you to the library's upcoming events and also to the library's archived past events. And you'll see a lot of the same topics kind of echoed in those events. So it's kind of a good place to check to see, is there an upcoming workshop on this topic? Or was there one in the past that I can watch a recording of and get a little bit more information if it's something you're interested in? And then we have the faculty zone. So this will show up for everybody in the scholarly skills community, but we really, of course, are intending it for faculty members. And so faculty members, if you visit the faculty zone, there's a couple of things that you can do here. One is if you are planning or wanting to integrate a scholarly skills community module into your course. For example, I know I keep using the qualitative and quantitative, but that's because the library gets so many questions about it. And I know there are assignments in some courses where students are required to do that. So if you have an assignment in your course where students need to find qualitative or quantitative specific articles, you can say maybe a month before that assignment is due, you can say, please go complete the course, the module, the name of the module in the scholarly skills community, and then submit your certificate of completion here. And that way you as a faculty member can know that your students are prepared to be successful on that assignment and they have the knowledge and the skills that they need to do it. So that's one example. But if that's something you're planning to do, asking your students, your class as a whole to complete a module in the scholarly skills community, we just kind of ask that you give us a heads up. We're not requiring it. It's just helpful for us. So there's a form that you can fill out and just give us a heads up, that in this particular class, the students are going to be we're going to be asking the students to complete this module in, the third week of the term or the fourth week of the term. That way we can just be prepared, especially if this is a large number of students, that we can be prepared for that kind of bump, I guess, in participation for that particular module. So we do ask that you fill that out for us, faculty. And then we also have a faculty feedback survey here. And if faculty members notice, if they have feedback for us, especially things that need to be corrected or changed, we have this available here, and you can fill this out and let us know about any changes that need to be made in the scholarly skills community. And that is the scholarly skills community. Let me go back out to here. What questions can we answer for you? I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that we can do questions a little bit more easily. What questions do you all have?
Julie, this is Lori Shimko. I came in very late. Will you be doing this talk again, or are you going to put up a recording of this talk?
Both, yeah. We're recording it and we'll make that available. There's also one, we have one the next 2 weeks as well. So 3 weeks in a row we're doing this session. So there's one next week and there's one the following week as well.
Great, thank you. I'll definitely join in on one of those. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
This is Ann Weidler. I just wanted to double check so I can go in today if I want and start working on some of those.
Absolutely, yeah. It is available to you right now. So as far as I know, there wouldn't be any faculty members requiring completion of any of the modules at this point during the summer term here. You'll start seeing that in some of your courses, possibly in the fall term and going forward. But certainly you can go in and look at the content, right? You can get that knowledge and skills. If you want a certificate, you can do the assessment to get a certificate. But I do want to say again that you don't have to do a certificate, right? If you don't need one or don't want one, you can certainly just go in and look at the information without doing the final assessment.
Need the information. So
yes,
I will say I did access the writing lab, and I had someone help me, and it was really great. So I am looking forward to this, actually.
That's wonderful. And actually, that reminds me of something I wanted to be sure to mention, and that's that we want to emphasize that this scholarly skills community in no way replaces the individual one-on-one help that you can get from library and writing center staff. Our goal was to make access more convenient to the knowledge and information, right? That you don't necessarily need to schedule an appointment and make time to meet with somebody one-on-one, especially if, you know, you're one of those people who do like to or have to work, you know, at odd hours on your work. And we also think that this will, I think we do think the scholarly skills community will make it less needed for students to have one-on-one appointments with our staff. And then when those appointments do happen, we feel like we'll be able to dig in a little bit more, right? We don't have to have kind of the intro stuff will be out of the way, that you can do that on your own, and then we can really do some more advanced assistance with you when we are working with you one-on-one.
Hello, this is Solange talking.
Hi, Solange.
Can you get me? We're still gonna need the writing center one-on-one and with you guys, but I have a little problem with the writing center. I wanted to try to use it, and it was like all booked up. And then I noticed the same people were booking for the next 2 to 3 weeks, like the same SAWE. That's the same people. So I was like a little frustrated, so I couldn't get hold of any opening. So how do we solve that? Does he have the same people booking like 2 weeks or 3 weeks in advance, and then new people who come in? I couldn't have any spots, so I'm not be able to use it, assign and everything.
Yeah, I'll feel
So
that.
I don't know if the solution is that they should create more opening space for the writing, or is opening spots which is available and limited based on the number of students you have. I think the spots are limited. If you can create more rooms.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Solange. And so,
On my question.
so part of why the scholarly skills community was developed was in part for reasons such as this. We want to try and create more opportunities for students to have one-on-one appointments that go into more advanced sorts of elements rather than, you know, the introductory stuff. If you can get that out of a module like this, then that's the hope. And so with that, we hope to be able to create more openings within the Writing Center so that more students can visit when they need. Now, I will speak directly to your question. And Solange, perhaps we should meet after the session, and we can go into more detail about your question. We have reached the point in the term where we are in the busiest point of the term, and so the schedule does get built very busy. So some of the options that we have at this point, submitting to the wait list is always an option, and I can walk you through how to do that. We also offer drop-in AMA and APA style-based sessions. Those happen every Wednesday and every Saturday. Those you don't need an appointment to be able to get in for those. And so I can give you the information on that as well.
Okay.
And we are also working to add more writing coaches to the center to be able to increase the number of options that we have available as well. And this is again, this is the busiest point in the year, and so we are working to address those in as many ways as possible. And the scholarly skills community is certainly one of those, and that's sort of what we're doing. So Solange, what I'll do is I'll just send you my email address to the chat.
Yes.
Or perhaps I'll just look for, because it seems like you might be driving, so I'll go ahead and just
Yeah,
email
I'm getting
you.
home in yes, I'm getting home in 2 minutes.
Okay, well, so I will send you an email, and so that we can continue to address your particular situation outside of the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions, we're happy to address those, and we can stay on. I am going to put in the chat one more time the survey. Feel free to leave if you don't have any other questions, but please click on that link before you leave and fill out our survey for us to help us improve these sessions. And we'll hang out in case any other questions come up.